ready, open up. Thank you so much for joining us today, and let's kick it off. I'm super excited about this name insertion.
Your little name tag. So this is where we stopped last time, if I remember correctly. We just got to the point where we were putting in 3D text, but let me go over that again. So I'll delete the 3D text out. We just find the tool. We can type in what we need. So I'll go with the Y again. I can't remember what I made these last time. So 20 and 2. So okay, for now, yeah, there we go. So the trick to placing text is it comes in as a component. So it allows you to place it on top of or near what you're modeling. But the trick to actually getting it to be part of your model is to right click on it and hit explode. So that will make it all individual faces again. So then you can go and push and pull all the individual faces as you want. But what you need to do is if you go to the bottom of the model and you hide your bottom face, you'll see you do have overlapping faces. So those are created from the original text, that the Y that went down, and then your original surface. You can just go and delete these out, just so that your 3D printer actually prints these faces. So see that what's happened here is placing them down hasn't actually separated the faces out. So if you want, you can just go and draw on them again. They will go nice and thin, and then you can select them and delete them out. So you should get a nice hollow looking print like that, and then you can unhide your last face like that. Yeah, you want to try that?
Sorry, Carl, can I ask something?
Sure.
Do you need to go to the bottom and do it, or can you leave it if you don't want to show at the bottom?
So what I found is when you bring it into Flash Print, what it does is it sees the model as like almost broken. It'll ask you to repair it. And then what it tries to do with those faces there is it either it doubles up, or it puts those faces lower down into your print.
Okay.
So it's best to go and clear them up, just so that you end up with a nice hollow model like that, because then Flash Print sees it as a proper single print.
Okay.
So you won't end up with any problems then.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm pressing on the right thing, but it like won't let me. I've wrote the word, but it won't let me like then put it onto the name tag.
Okay, so we'll do that again, no problem. I'm going to delete this out. Okay, so if we take it step by step, we've gone to 3D text. You've typed what you needed to, selected a font, given it a height and a extrusion width, and then you've hit OK. So now you're at this point here where you're trying to place it on the tag, or is it sitting, say, off to the side like that?
It's not letting me actually get to the stage where I can put it on. So it's not. And then once I've done what you just did and press OK,
yeah,
it won't come up with the word.
You don't see the word at all?
No.
Is it maybe too big? So if I do that again, have you tried zooming out a bit? So I think the default here was like 350.
Oh.
Are you seeing, if you zoom out? Oh yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean there. I don't have a word now either. Is it possible that your text size is too big?
I've put it on 5, but I'm not too sure.
That might be a bit too small. Maybe do it at 20 for the text height, and then the text extrusion, let's make it 2.
Still can't see it.
And you have text filled and text extrusion ticked?
Yes.
Sure, that's quite an unusual problem. Not quite sure. It's quite difficult unless I see your screen to know why you're getting that error.
I'm just thinking there is an option for multiple participants to share simultaneously. So I'm just wondering whether, yeah, maybe whether Jack could like share the screen for
Yeah.
2 seconds. I don't know, Jack, can you share your screen?
Well, I'm on my mom's computer and I'm doing the video call on the iPad. So
Okay.
yeah.
Does anybody else have that same problem?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael just joined us now. So how's it, Michael? We right at the beginning. So you haven't missed much. Good to see you.
I haven't tried that yet, Kyle. He's far beyond an old teacher, but I'll still get there.
Shame, so his text isn't popping up at all, eh?
No.
Yeah, even if I select a long text, geez, even if I make it small, it pops up. Sure, that is quite an. Did you have this problem before, or you're only having this problem now?
I'm only having it now, well, because I only tried it now. I didn't try it last time we did it.
Okay. Sure. I would say maybe try and open up Sketchup again. So maybe just close the tab and start a new one. That might solve the problem.
Now I have to go all the way from the beginning on my side. Had my other computer kick me out, so I'm trying to get it from a different computer. So this is going to be fun. But anyway, I'm just going to do some sort of a box. Sorry.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay. So just Carl, just for one more time, just for all of us, for all of our sake, do you mind just to go one more time through the letters, just so that how it attaches, just one more last time, and then we
delete that, what I don't need here. Okay, so first step is finding the 3D text. It's hidden under the Solid Tools sort of menu. It'll open up a text box. You can type what you need to. Change the font. You need to pick a height. So that's the height of the letters from bottom of the letter to top. And then the extrusion is how much it's pulled out. So say 20 and 2. And then what it does is it's asking where do you want to place it, basically. So if you click on one of the side panels.
I closed it down because I need to.
Sorry, I'm going
Because
to
It's fine.
hold on. I'm just going to there we go. So sorry, Carl, just a quick one. Where's the a placeholder for the changes of the inches versus millimeters again?
It's the second from the bottom here on the right hand side under model info.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, so once you've typed it, you should be able to place it wherever you want. And it will snap to these faces. And then you can select the text. So the text does come up with like the midpoint in each component. So if I highlight over the H, for example, I can select the midpoint and then align it to the green axis and then snap it to the midpoint of the actual tag. And then you can tweak it left and right as you need, provided it snaps to the red. So if it snaps to the blue axis, you'll see it'll actually lift off. But I think because we've created text, it'll glue itself to the surface that you've put it on.
Okay.
So yes, everyone have text now.
No, not me. I
It's
went
still not.
out. I went out and went back in, and it's still not working.
You still get the same problem.
Yes.
Sure, that is quite odd. Can I ask you to create the 3D text again? So start from scratch.
Okay.
Type what you need to. Select a font. As long as text filled and text extrusion is ticked.
Well, it also won't let me choose any other font than Open Sans.
I think you need to give it a sec to load then.
Oh.
If you give it a sec to load, and the rest of the list pops up, then you should be able to place 3D text.
Yeah, but also when I when I did it last time before I went out, I could do all the fonts. I just couldn't like put the word down.
That's quite odd. So what, do you only see that Laura and Open Sans font option?
Yeah.
You see, I've had that problem before, but it turned out it was just the internet that needed to load the rest of them. And once it loaded it in, it was fine.
Yeah, it doesn't look like anything's loading.
So maybe just, yeah.
No. I think it just kind of the so you tried restart, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It sounds like an internet issue because I've had this problem before. It just needed to load. Once it loaded, it was fine. So I was going to say, what you can do is once you've typed everything and you've selected a font and press OK, you shouldn't see anything, but you do see the little black place cursor, right?
Yes.
So maybe just click. And then if you press Control-Shift-E, everything in your workspace should be centered on the page. Do you possibly see text now?
I'm going to try that.
Just the question. I didn't have that question situation before, but now it's becoming like really tiny. I can't,
Your text.
I can't even like, yeah. Now I put the 2mm. I have like the same settings, and I'm just thinking like, what happened?
So your text between bottom and top is 2mm like that?
Yeah, 2mm text extrusion. Yeah.
But this is really small.
Height is 20, right?
Yeah.
20 millimeters, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't even see it. I just like, I don't know what I'm doing there wrong. But
did you model your tag in inches possibly?
So
your tag's massive, but your text is now really small.
Okay, that's a good one. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Pro.
Yeah, it's still not working.
Sure. Are you using Chrome or Internet Explorer or Edge, Firefox? Do you know what browser you are on?
I'm using Edge.
Are you using Edge?
Yes.
Do you have Chrome installed?
Not quite sure. I'll check.
Okay.
Okay, let's try to then maybe. Michael, are you winning on your side?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Excellent. Cal, can I like permanently set it up for like just out of interest, millimeters and inches, or will it always kind of, when it opens up in inches and I just need to always remember that?
No, so once, because you've created your profile, once you've saved something and you
remembers it.
Yeah, you start modeling again. When you click on the top tab to start a new one, so you'll see here, if I say create new, it asks me simple template in millimeters.
Okay.
So yeah, once you've created something that it has to remember by, it will ask you your preference from there on.
Okay.
Why didn't you say so in the first place?
Oh, well, it's a good thing, because if you do get stuck in drawing in inches and you don't know where to find it.
I'm only joking.
Does everyone have a tag at least with some text?
Yes.
Okay, can I show you the offset tool to create like a border for this?
Yes.
So there is an offset tool underneath the push-pull. I think the shortcut's F for that. You can click on the edges now and you'll see a line will pop up for how much you want to offset it. So I'm going to say 2 for that. But then I end up with a junction here that doesn't look too great, because I know that the offset between my ring and the end was 2.5. So I can go and offset where my hole is by 2.5 just by typing that in. And then I can delete out the lines that overlap, and then I can pull that up to create a border. And then I can obviously, if I haven't exploded my Y already, I can move that over so that it's a little bit more central. Yeah, nice and easy. Should I do it again?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll start off by actually using the tool. So it's the third one underneath the push-pull. We highlight the outside and we click once, pull it in as to how far we want it. We'll say 2 mils by typing 2. And then for my ring, I'm going to offset that 2.5. And then erase any overlapping lines. And then I can pull up my border by 2 mils to match my text height. Okay. Nice and easy.
Are you able to import a 2D image and push-pull to make it 3D?
Yes, you can. You can trace the image. So that I did want to touch on that today, if we have time. But what you can do is you can select from the drop down on the top left. You can say insert from computer. So I know I've got an image here. And say open. and then it will let you place it. So say we want to place it there, and then you can scale it. So what I would suggest with when tracing logos or anything in SketchUp, so like the one I did today, this one over here, what I did was I brought this in quite big, because as soon as the faces get a little bit too small in SketchUp, you just find that like lines aren't closing nicely. So you bring in an image nice and big, you can then use the trace tools to sort of go over it. It will take some practice, but what is nice is SketchUp does kind of snap to the previous radius, so that it will go blue like that, so that you can get a nice crisp tracing as you sort of go around it. So I'll just do this quickly. Might not be perfect, but as I said, it will take some practice to get a nice tracing. So yeah, it's just a matter of zooming in, zooming out until you get a okay, well, it's not the best one, but it'll do for now. So you'll see it didn't create a face. I'm just going to hide this. It didn't create a face, and that's because I had overlapping lines here. So once you've got a solid outline, you can then just go and draw a line somewhere else on the edge of it, and it will actually make a surface. Then you can push and pull this up as you need.
Okay, great.
And then what you do is once you've created like a nice big tracing of it, you can scale it down. So if you need an exact scale, you press T, and then you can just select like an edge somewhere. Wait, hold up. So first, before you do that, it's best to select everything. Press G, you want to create a component, just so that it's its own model and nothing else in your model actually gets messed with. You're going to press T to measure from 2 points. So try and find an edge, like that edge and that edge. And then you'll see this dimension currently is at 3023. When you second click, you can actually type in and tell it that has to be 60 mils, and it will ask you, do you want to resize the active group? So you just hit OK. It will make it small again, but it won't delete any of the faces. So you'll end up with quite a nice, crisp tracing. Not like this one. This has got a bit of a dent in it, but we'll trace it again properly.
Great, thank you.
No problem.
It's still not working, the writing for me.
Still not. Did you switch to?
Yeah, and nothing works. Like not even one single letter in different fonts.
No.
Jeez, that's very unusual. Did you try switching to Edge?
We have.
And it's still giving you that problem?
Yes.
So that's very odd.
Kyle, wow, just wanted to ask you, can you resize the letters on the, like if you want to change it now, can you resize, or do you have to go back completely?
It's easier to go back. So you can set your view to, let me just find this, to show it. So if I change it to this parallel projection, so this is like a very ortho, it looks quite odd, especially if you're used to modeling in like perspective mode. But if you switch it to right at the top, it's a lot easier to select your text. So you can sort of just select it, and then you can scale it from here if you want to, if that's what you're after. So if we go to the top, select the text, and then we go to scale. You can grab it on one of the corners. If you hold down Control, it will scale to the center.
Okay.
And then you can click, but like I said, now you end up with all these little odd lines because your faces were attached. it's easier to, you can pull them. Yeah, there's many ways to do this actually. You can push your text letters down, and then you can, once they're on the same plane, these are easier to move around. And scaling also be possible then.
Okay.
But like I said, it's a lot easier to just delete your text out and
Okay.
start again. If you have you exploded it already?
Yes.
Yeah, it's usually one of those things that you leave like till right at the end,
Okay.
so that you don't have this issue of trying to resize it properly.
Okay. So you just do all of that before you explode it.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So if you have your text that hasn't been exploded still around, you can move it in place. You just got to make sure that it's actually on the face, and then you can scale this.
Right.
So like that.
Yeah. Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. When you scale it, it will scale the letters down as well. So you would need to. So if you've brought your text in and it's still a component and you want to edit that, you can double click it. Double clicking will open up the model or the group to allow you to go and edit this.
Okay.
Shem, I'm still trying to figure out why we wouldn't have any text. So you're saying it does let you type in at the top?
It
You can
lets
see
me
it.
type in.
Yeah, you can see your text there. As soon as you hit OK, you just can't see anything.
Yeah.
Sure. Can I say maybe type it in again, but this time let's make your text 100 and your extrusion 10. Let's try that.
Still doesn't work.
Jeez. It's quite an unusual problem.
Maybe he can share his desktop with you, Carl, and then you can see what's the problem.
Yeah, so you can share. We have multiple participants that can share. So if you want to try to
But didn't he, yeah, Shane, didn't he say he was on, he was using the iPad for the Zoom call, but he's on the desktop while modeling.
Yeah.
That's why he's unable to share his screen.
Yeah, but what I mean is maybe when we're done, if you can, you know, with the, what do you call that app? Now share your desktop.
Team viewer. Yeah.
That's a team viewer.
Yeah, that's not a problem. We can check it out afterwards.
Okay, yeah, let's try maybe without exactly just the next steps, and then we can catch up the letters going forward.
Yeah, shame. It's it's a little bit unlucky.
Yeah,
so
and try
everyone's
to do that with you, Jack. Okay.
Okay.
Everyone's comfortable with their tag that they have created, and they can now create a tag and offset, add text, explode the text, and then delete the bottom faces out.
All good.
Yep.
Awesome. So I'll touch again on how to import an image so you can trace something. So we start on the top left on the little 3 dots on the drop down. We can say insert. You can drag and drop it on here, or you can just select from PC. So this time it's an image. We're going to drag it in, click on a corner, and then just size it. But like I said, make it quite big. We can always scale it down later. So let me show you what happens if we make it small. So if we make it small to, let's say, the printer size, and we want to trace this quite a small segment, what happens is you get an error from Sketchup saying that the segment is too small. And now it doesn't give me that error, of course. So let's do it here. So something like that. So yeah, got the number of segments is too large for the given angle or radius. So it's easier to scale this up nice and big, trace it, and then scale it down to print size, because then all those little angles are still retained. Nothing gets deleted. Scale this back up. Something like here, you don't end up with that problem. Yeah. If I bring in an image, okay? I'll do it again. Cool. Everyone's still okay?
Yep.
Can I show you how to export this for printing?
Yes.
Because that's something we actually haven't gone over. Once you're happy with your model that you've created, it's the same thing. You just click on the little dots, hit export. We want to export to an STL, and it will automatically just go drop it off in your downloads folder. And that's that. That's,
awesome.
Yeah. And then you can open that up in Flash Print. You can scale it there if you need to, if you want to make it a bit bigger. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super easy.
Essentially, this is the kind of the process one would go through if you want to import an object out of Thingiverse, for example, and you want to personalize it, and then literally just put the name, same process. Exactly
the same. So what I do sometimes, those so some of the models that come in from Thingiverse are like really big, like SketchUp can't handle them because there's just so many faces. So I have found an app or a program that's called, that's called, and I used it just the other day. It's called, let me try and find it, MeshLab. So what MeshLab does is you import it because it has no problem handling all those faces, and then you can actually go and clean it up. So you can say the faces that are, because sometimes like with that little squirrel, when I imported that had over 100,000 faces, which SketchUp was just not willing to handle. And I managed to reduce it down to about 6,000 without losing any of the quality. It is a very, very complicated program, and I only know how to use it just to simplify the models, because it can do a lot. But yeah, for simplifying models to bring it back into SketchUp, awesome. So yeah.
No. Thanks. I like the dice that you had there earlier.
Can I show you how to do that? It's quite a cool little trick.
Yeah.
So you can model, let's say we want to do a 50 by 50 dice. Wait, something's not right there. 50 by 50 dice, and you pull it up another 50. It's great more to have a simple cube, because you can, what's cool about SketchUp is if you click on this line, you can go and divide it to work out if you wanted to put 6 faces on this, for example. So we would divide it by 4, then your pencil will snap to that point automatically where it's been divided. So that's quite cool. And we can do it on this side too. Oh, sorry. We can divide it here by 4. And then we've created basically the intersecting points for roughly where we wanted these little cutouts to go. Let's make this 5 as well. So let's just say we wanted to do 4. But the problem is dice don't really have edges like that.
Where did you find the divide one?
You just click on the line that you want to divide.
Yeah. Blind.
And then just right click and hit divide.
Yeah.
And then you can go and clean up all the overlapping lines.
Geez, you were so quick. I'm still divided.
No, I want to show you quickly. So I think it's easier if you watch, and then we'll go through it together. So let me start again. I'll go right back to the beginning. So rectangle tool.
It's like by the time I measure 50 by 50, you were already like subdividing the cube and everything.
Yeah, no, that's what. So let me show you how to do it first, and then we can go through it together. So yeah, you just select the rectangle, the square or rectangle tool. You type 50.50, 50,50. That'll give you a 50 by 50 square. We're going to push it up 50, and then we're going to divide these lines, say by 4, and divide that line by 4 again. So now our pencil will snap quite nicely to these points.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, and then we can use the circle tool to go make the circles where they would go.
Okay.
And then you can delete out all the overlapping faces. This one's a bit bigger for some reason. And you can push them down. Like I was saying, like this is a very simple dice, and dice don't have straight sharp edges like this. Right? So if everyone's comfortable making that, I can show you there's this like really cool follow me trick to making rounded corners.
Yeah.
The problem is you've got to model it bigger because small faces tend to disappear.
Right.
So if we're going to make it 200 by 200, just now what we do is we round off the corners like we did the first time. And then you can copy this face up. So to copy, you would select or triple click the face that you've created. Use the move tool. When it starts moving, if you press Control once, it will make a copy automatically. So we can move this up. So that's when it snaps on the blue plane. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees. And now we're going to use the follow me tool, which is underneath the push pull, and we can click on the two faces. Come on. And then you end up with a cube with rounded edges. And we can reverse this because it is backwards.
Amazing.
So say, like, when you start playing, you discover some weird things that you do some pretty cool things. If I turn on the hidden geometry, you can actually see what I'm talking about. Some of these faces overlap. So like something like that, Flash Print will repair for you automatically. I wouldn't worry about cleaning something like that up. But then what you can do now is, for this, you can go and select these lines.
Mm-hmm.
You can unsoften them so that they become solid, and then you can divide these lines so that you can draw your guidelines in.
Right.
We'll just divide this one. Waiting for it to snap, yeah. That was this one. Okay, and just delete all the overlapping lines.
I'm going to one day do something like this as well, and then I'm going to like speed it up quickly on the video. I mastered.
So once you've got something like this, it's obviously too big. So you can just drop it straight back into Flash Print and scale it down, or you select everything, make it a component by pressing G.
Right.
And then what you do is you double click this so that only this model gets affected. And then you go in dimension from a corner to corner. So this should be the 200 that we made it. And then you just type in 50 and it will ask you, do you want to resize? Just say, okay. And it will scale it back down to the right size. And I went over that a bit quick, but then you end up with a dice with some nice round edges.
Got you.
How do you get?
It's quite, yeah.
Sorry, how do you get all four dice holes if you drag it down to be exactly the same depth?
How do you get them all to be the same depth?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll start with, so we end up with something like that. So you can click on the first one. Obviously, you can just type in how deep you want it to go. So we'll make this one 2. And if you double click on the second one, it remembers that it was 2. But you can also click on it once and then just go and click on the face that you want it to align to. Then it will match that face to the face you're referencing.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
And I'm right clicking or left clicking? Sorry, I didn't pick it up to remember.
Left clicking. So it's always left click. Right click will only ever bring up a menu in SketchUp.
Yeah.
So it's double left click. You can also copy these faces if you wanted to.
So how did you copy that? Oh yeah, okay.
That's fine. So I'm double clicking because I want the line plus the face. And then if I use the move tool, as soon as, like, I'm not clicking it, I've ticked it once, so I can move it around. If I press Control once, it will make a copy of it. And then I can say, okay, well, somewhere over there, then I can go and reference it later and say, okay, line up this center to that center and that center to there. And then I can pull these faces down to match. You can also move these plans. I'm just going to turn hidden geometry back off. You can, if you double click to select the bottom face and double click to select the face on the inside, you can move these around as well. And you can copy these too. That's exactly the same process. So double click, move, press Control to create a copy. click to place. Okay.
And
The dice,
sorry,
yeah.
so on the softening of the edges, which one was the, sorry, I'm just trying to soften the edges, and I think I'm pressing something else on the other scoop, not on that one, but
one.
on, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to round the edges?
I guess whatever you're doing, yeah, that one and round edge from there.
Yeah,
Like
so the rounding the edges is quite a tricky one to get right, because you've got to use that that follow me tool. Yeah, because you can't put plugins on the online version. So if we just make this a big 200 by 200 or 200, sorry. Once you've got a face like that, you've got to go round the edges in here. So while it's still a 2D.
Okay, and then you probably, so you can't do it when it's actually a cube already.
Yeah, you can't even pull it up, because if you pull it up, you still end up with hard edges here.
Right.
That's what I said. This is quite a tricky thing to get right, because what you need to do is you need to create it in plan or as a 2D, and then we're going to move it, but we're going to create a copy. We're going to move it up, and then we're going to rotate that copy.
Sorry, some kids and dogs.
Okay, you're on mute now. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so once you've created that copy and you've rotated it sideways, you then use that this follow me tool, and you select the two faces. Come on. Yeah, so double click the bottom face, use the follow me tool, and then click the top face.
Okay.
And then it will round off all your edges.
And it's
You
kind
see
of
how-
like sitting in the air. That's fine.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah.
So it is quite a tricky thing to get right. This follow me tool works well when you want to create like pretty, not really complex shapes, but you almost need to, so like I designed a skipping rope handle for a friend. He wanted something that had quite a lot of grip in it, but he wanted to put an air hose in it so that it was a weighted skipping rope. So you've almost got to imagine the handle in section, like cut in half, and then you can use the follow me tool to rotate that around itself, and then that creates quite a nice rounded handle. Yeah, because to actually model something round with like quite a lot of complex detail is tricky. I'll do a quick one here. So basically the handle looked something like this. Because it had a bearing in it, and
Of course.
it had to move nice and smooth. You know, I like using bearings.
I started to like them as well. I got a few today. You will be proud. Finally.
Yeah, I've got a box full of them. So
No,
it's
they're
almost like a
amazing when you actually try to create that. And I think that for even like for kids, then when they try to solve for these kind of problems, you know, how they can actually connect like a bearing, you know, to make it something to rotate, because you don't necessarily need to 3D print that. That could be that could be the part that you can use inside. And I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and then you get perfect movement at least. Because yeah, 3D printed bearings, very, very tricky to get right. So that's,
Oh, wow.
that's
Okay.
how that worked. Yeah. So this one I think needed an extra circle. Then yeah, it's quite tricky at first to try and imagine this thing sort of cut. But if we have something like this, you just select the line that you want it to follow. And you say, follow me, and click on the face. And I've got an extra line. But yeah, that's basically what I did. I created a half. I knew that the bearing would slot in there. And then the rest of it was used to thread a bolt through it just to keep everything nice and tight and in place. So that's what the follow me tool is used for. Oh, I missed a spot there.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a little extra here now.
No, that's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a cool way to use the follow me tool. That makes sense.
Yeah, it just saves a lot of time, right?
Yeah, it's just thinking about the application, like when would you need it? So to simplify your life a little.
Okay. And specifically, it seems like a lot of times when you use like round objects and stuff like that, like as you said, like the edges and all of these things.
Yeah, especially rounded objects, because yeah, SketchUp doesn't handle creating like thousands and thousands of faces very well, but it does set you up for the basics to understand how these 3D applications think. So once you sort of get the basics with SketchUp and understand how these tools work, the tools tend to make a lot more sense in other programs. But SketchUp's by far the easiest to learn.
Okay, does anybody else have a question around it or something specific that you are wondering about?
I just want to know, is there somewhere where you can get the shortcuts? A list?
Yeah, so you can Google SketchUp shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts. There isn't too many, luckily. So they are quite easy to remember. Like the push-pull tool is P, the move tool is M. Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to use all of them, but yeah, if you Google SketchUp shortcuts keyboard and then go to Google Images, they lay it out quite nicely as to where those tools are.
Okay.
If that helps. No problem.
Can't we clone your brain?
Sure.
But I think it's very cool. It's just one needs to go through it slowly. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
So I'm just curious, Kyle, did you learn this by yourself or did you have formal training or how did you get
all
to
by myself?
Wow.
Everything, yeah. That's what I say. That's how I know SketchUp's definitely the easiest to learn.
Okay, from experience.
Yeah.
Wow, okay, thank you.
So have you tried, for example, like all the way to go down to like a Tinkercad, for example, for the small kids, if I say an example, have you tried it? Or because obviously you went straight into the, I would imagine more into the deep end.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't even say this is the deep end. So obviously like
it's like a whole deep range.
No, so like the only reason why I use SketchUp, and I do tend, like, it depends what I'm modeling, but SketchUp for 3D printing is definitely my go-to just because it's super quick. I know it might not seem quick for you guys now, but at some point the tools become like habit and you tend to think about how to model these things when you're not sitting in front of SketchUp. if it's something a little bit more complex, I will use Revit, but that's like an architectural program. So, I mean, that's what I use every day, but it's, again, it's just like a way of thinking about how to model these things. I haven't even tried Tinkercad, to be honest. Yeah, there's a lot out there.
Tinkercad really limits you, I've found.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll check it out. Yeah, no, I haven't even tried that. So
It's isn't it, Michael, that it's like really basic, right? So you can't really.
Yeah, you can't. I don't think you can even cut shapes in there. So this gives me so much more freedom, and obviously my learners as well.
yeah, awesome. So there's also like really cool. I know we're like running out of time here, but you can. So there's really creative ways to cut shapes. So like if I just pull these two together, you can select them and then just say intersecting faces with selection. So now what it's doing is it's saying, okay, well, everywhere we intersect, we'll create a solid line for you. Okay, this is a bit of a complicated one at first, but you'll see now if I erase this face out, I've now basically got two cubes that are intersected with, and it's hollow, so it will be an easy print too. So yeah, SketchUp does teach you really, like, I know these tools are actually hidden underneath these here. They're like paid for tools, unfortunately, but SketchUp's great because it's always got a workaround, and that this is one of them. It's basically just saying, well, how else can I cut something out of this? I'll have to face underneath there. But this is getting quite advanced now, so I don't want to overwhelm. Yeah. So it's just getting familiar with what these tools do. So you see it, you can erase what you don't want. Say that.
All right, nice.
Yeah, it's just, I think this was like one of our first lessons when I was in grade 9. It was basic shapes and then cutting out pieces of it. So, but you see, like when you get to corners here, it won't let you cut past it because it's now a rounded edge. So you've got to think about that differently. It's okay, well, if I create a new model, and I push this all the way through, I can then intersect it and then cut it out. This is a little bit slower though, but yeah, and you end up with something like that. Yeah.
Very cool. It just gives you so much options, you know, like so many more possibilities.
Yeah, especially for a free program.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if there's any other questions. If I can help with anything else.
Just want to say that the printing glue really works very well. I haven't had any issues since I've started using that, so thank you for that.
Awesome. I'm glad. Which one are you using? Are you using that?
Yeah, that's
the filament factory one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It is good.
And it's awesome. It just doesn't leave as well. Doesn't leave much residue. So I think that's really amazing as well.
Yeah, works very well. Thanks.
Nice. No more plugging.
Anything else?
For now.
Oh, yeah. I didn't show you what I've been busy printing. Check it out. I designed all these letters.
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah. So I think you can obviously see what it is now. But what's cool is these things do come out. So design them as two parts, and the white that I have isn't as transparent as I hoped. So they will take a whole bunch of LEDs, close up, and then yeah, we can mount it in the background there for you.
And then we have, and you have a whole, how do you call it, the lightning, what do you call it?
A whole light up white toys sign, basically. Yeah, the other letters.
Fantastic.
So yeah, this is why I was waiting for grey, because all of these were done in grey, and I didn't want them to be different.
That's right. And then you just use the transparent, did you use the transparent white on the...
So yeah, so this white is called natural. It's not as transparent as I hoped.
Okay.
So I did test it with like some LEDs, and it does shine through, but I think a transparent filament itself would be a lot better. Yeah, and I used Sketchup for that. So, and if I go here quickly, it was just a matter of selecting the letter, offsetting the top of it to push down. But I just created two. I just created two offsets. Obviously, I modeled it a lot bigger, so that the lid would go on top. So if I offset this again. My snaps are obviously very big, but yeah, I basically did that. Took the inner letter, pasted that out to create the lid.
Amazing. I think, Michael, this is a project for your kids at school. They need to make a signage.
Yeah.
I love it, definitely.
And what's easy is the 3D text is already there. So it's just a matter of getting them to type something, offset it inwards twice, drop it down, create a lid.
Wow.
And you can always go and join the letters together if you wanted a single print. So just go and overlap these somewhere.
And then you can thread the LEDs through all the letters.
Yeah, exactly that.
Wow. Definitely gonna try that. Thanks.
I think that's what's really cool about when you start incorporating all these things, like, you know, like LED lights and like bringing the bearings and like, so that actually kids start understanding like how do they solve the problems, you know, and not just the design, but like having even something simple like exactly like a light box. And it doesn't have to be whether it's letters or something else, but like that's on its own will give them like, it will come to life from a different way.
And if it's done with a glow in the dark lid too, that'd be quite cool because and
you guys have
shine through enough. Yes. Exactly. It should shine through enough, and then when you turn the lights off, at least it'll still glow.
Wow, great idea. Thank you.
That's really cool. Yeah. Now we're solving some problems there. Okay, brilliant. Well, does anybody else have questions? Jack, how you coping there?
Yeah, sure. Jeez.
I'm still on like I've done like I haven't rounded the cube out yet. That's the only thing that I haven't done.
But you're working it through. Awesome. Okay, well, let's if you want to then afterwards like share the screens, it just maybe for now, let's thank you so much everyone for joining us. Really enjoyed it. Jack, I think that if you can just stay, I don't know if you can just stay online, maybe if we can share, but we can't still share the screen with you.
I think you'll have to create another link to share with him that he can then maybe access via email through his mom's PC.
Yeah, I think that let's just make a specific time for you, Jack, to see like how if we can have like 10 minutes with Kyle just to on a separate time when you at a PC, and then we can do a Zoom call if that's okay.
Sorry, Jack, have you saved your project?
Yes.
If you go to the top left, those three little dots, and you say new, you should see the lady again, right?
So where was the new again?
So the top left by those 3 stripes next to your
Apps.
title. On the top, can you still see my screen?
Yeah.
So those
Wait.
little
New.
dots, yeah. So if you see, you create new, you should see the lady that's standing here on the cell phone.
Trying to. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe just type your text in again.
Okay.
So let's do it there.
That chick totally looks like an architect, by the way.
I've always hated these people that Sketchup put in because they always follow you. They just follow you around no matter how you rotate around this project. And they've all got names as well. Like if you click on them, their name's hidden somewhere in here. Hey, this one's Helen. They've all had a different name. They always follow you. Oh, jeez.
Awesome. Jake, are you winning there with the name?
I can hear him
Yeah,
typing
I
out
just
by the
had
sounds of it.
to. Yes, it's working now.
Okay, cool. Well, there we go. So maybe just start a new project and then try redraw the tag from scratch, add your name to it, and try print it.
Yeah.
Maybe some good homework.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you,
awesome.
Paul.
Well,
Appreciate. Thank you, Petra.
thank you
That's
so
a
much.
pleasure.
everyone.
Okay.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Keep
Cool.
well,
Bye.
everyone. Cheers.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
Appreciate it.